Earful Tower listeners, it's another Monday, this time in Carcassonne.
Carcassonne.
What a lovely name for it. What a lovely name for a
it's very
village.
satisfying to say.
Yeah, I could say it all day. I might. No, what we're going to do is we're going to share to you, it's Lena here.
Yep, hi.
And she's with me, Oliver G.
Oliver G.
In case you're wondering, the host of the Earful Tower, what you're listening to right now.
Your graceful host.
Your gracious host.
Graceful?
Well, I'd say graceful. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through for the next 30 minutes 10 stories from the past week, because it's been the busiest week of honeymoon. We're sitting here in Carcassonne in the house or an Airbnb of Taste of France, the fantastic blog from down here. We're going to do a bit of a collaboration this week, including an episode on Thursday. But you're going to hear from the past week, which has involved everything from hospital visits.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's dramatic.
Wasn't for you. That's all
Wasn't exciting.
A deputy mayor, keys to some ramparts, and
Cadillacs.
Cadillacs, yeah.
Or lack thereof. Wait and see.
So sit back, enjoy the ride, and let's start it with Slim and the Beast and a bit of music.
Jump on my back, hold on tight, let's do it together, let's go for a ride, let's go for a ride.
That was the lovely sounds of Slim and the Beast.
Slim and the Beast.
One could say it's the theme tune for the trip.
I think it is.
Well, it officially is. But if I had to make the soundtrack for the actual scooter ride, that wouldn't be the song that's sung the most on the scooter.
No.
That would be Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers.
Can you hum it for me?
You know what song I'm talking about. When we're right in the middle of nowhere, I often sing that song because it's a really good song to scream, to shout out loud. It's from the start of the movie Ghost. If you don't know which I'm talking about, the one where they're doing the bit where they're doing the clay.
Yeah, pause now and look it up, everyone.
Yeah.
So
Because I'm not going to sing it. But the funny thing is, often when we go past houses, like farmhouses, the dogs start barking.
Yeah, and we haven't figured it out until very recently why. And I think it's because we just sing.
I think it's Unchained Melody.
Shout.
Yeah.
It's Unchained Melody.
Anyway, we're about 2,500 kilometers in, which means we have seen a lot of France. I'd go as far as saying we're almost experts.
On the western half, for sure.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, the Alps.
Oh, no idea.
No, not yet.
But as we said, what we're going to do is we're going to go through 10 stories kind of quick fire round. So if you think we're being boring, just skip ahead 2 minutes and maybe the next bit will be more interesting. Or skip ahead 4 minutes and get to the one ahead of that.
Yeah, will we save the best for last? I don't know. I don't know.
So where we left you guys last week, the last time, obviously there was an episode on Thursday where I was talking with Mike in Bordeaux, trams in the background.
Yeah.
But where we left them last Monday, we were in a chateau in Cognac.
Oh yeah,
which was really
lot
nice.
has happened since then.
I know, and so that's why we figured we'd sort of go through the trip and because I think so much has happened in 7 days that it's worth sort of doing almost a day by day. Without further ado, let's go to the day after we left you off.
Here we go.
One of 10 stories is cognac tasting. We got emails from people saying, give us some tips along the way. So here's a tip for you.
Here is a big one,
When you go to Cognac, the city in Western France, you can do these tasting tours. And a lot of people, I would imagine, go to Hennessy, which seemed like the biggest one.
Yeah, it's like a household name. Everyone knows about it.
Right, but you have to get the times right. The tours are every 2 hours or something.
Yeah, and not all of them are in English, if that's what you want for. So make sure you get one that's in English.
So we went next door to the Hennessy place, to a place called, it's the Otard, O-T-A-R-D. And Otard.
Yeah.
So it's an old baron. But anyway, why it was really interesting, the one that we went to, is... and they're not sponsoring us, so we can say what we like.
No, we paid.
This is true,
as
we paid.
Else.
But it's interesting because where they do the cognac is in an old chateau. And if you remember correctly, it was the chateau of Francis I.
Yes.
And
he was married to...
Yeah, remember?
Yeah, Eleanor of
Aquitaine. Which is great because they started talking about it. They goes, who knows who Eleanor of Aquitaine is?
Yeah, and guess whose hand shot up like an arrow in the dark?
Lena and mine. And if you're listening for the first time, you've got no idea what we're talking about perhaps, but we referenced it in a recent episode. Eleanor of Aquitaine. Lena says she's the Oprah of the 15th century. Still haven't figured out why.
I think it's a fair assessment of her life.
Yeah, of her character.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we did the cognac tour. Really interesting. At the end, you can taste them. They mixed one with tonic, which I'd never heard of before.
Yeah.
When they're younger, more aggressive was the word that the woman
It's
used.
aggressive.
I didn't think it was aggressive. The taste.
I don't know. I just really like that description of a beverage.
And I really like the idea of drinking cognac.
Usually people get aggressive after drinking
Yeah.
the beverage,
Yes.
but this is actual cognac.
You're
Was
talking
the
from
aggressive.
experience as well.
Well, what?
But a lot of people, one thing that was cool was actually drinking cognac in the town of Cognac, much as we tasted Chantilly cream in Chantilly.
Yep.
And to bring us on to story 2, much as we tasted Bordeaux in the city of Bordeaux.
Yes.
It's one of the best segues I've ever done, and I didn't even prepare it. So we thought we spent 2 or 3 days in Bordeaux. Lovely city.
City of wine.
And I'm not going to go into it too much. Like I said, I did an episode with Mike and a walk show. And, one listener pointed out, because I did a prep walk show, where I sort of do it for the big Facebook group that a lot of you listeners might have seen. And one of the comments said, did you see the guy holding onto the tram while skateboarding? And
really?
Yeah, and right in the background of us, there was a guy,
Hitching a
yeah,
ride?
Yeah, free ride.
Wow.
Anyway, the things we'd recommend for you in Bordeaux, while it's a big city and it's easy to figure this stuff out for yourself, some of the things that we did. One was the Cité du Vin, which is a museum.
Yeah, the recently new build museum, which is like a theme park for grown-ups.
That's what they say. I don't really think it was like a theme park.
It's not a theme. There are no rides.
It's kind of interesting that the way they've got a lot of cool information, but they've made it interesting to everybody by sort of these 3D hologram graphics and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it was very you're very involved in it. So like, press here and something will happen, or smell here and you'll. Yeah, it was good.
Useless for me. I haven't got a sense of smell, as we've discovered on this
Yeah,
trip.
we had a lot of fun. Well, I had a lot of fun on your behalf.
Cognac was also wasted on me. But it's pretty cool. I kind of think, in a quite serious review, that sometimes the information, it felt like they were just trying to make it interesting by putting all the pictures.
Yeah.
And you could have just read it on
It's
Wikipedia.
like they're tricking you into learning.
I don't like being tricked into learning. No.
No learning.
No. But I do like to learn, and one of the things I did learn is another place that we went was the Grosse Cloche.
Grosse.
The big clock.
Yeah, to me it sounds like German.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Anyways,
there's a
doesn't
big
matter.
English.
It's not German.
We learn a lot about the English influence in Bordeaux. Largely thanks to Eleanor of Aquitaine, who obviously went and married a British king.
Yes.
Anyway, that was also cool. There's a huge clock. I don't know.
And you can get a little guided tour and walk into the actual clock.
And you
see
can
the
also do
clockwork
that in
from
English as
inside.
well, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not for the faint
Hang on,
of heart.
we did it in French, I just remembered.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did it in French, didn't know what the hell was going on. But you can do it in English.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's story 2. Go to Bordeaux. It's 2 hours from Paris. It's
Taste some Bordeaux.
Yeah, taste
while
the
you're
wine.
there.
It was the kind of city that when we were walking around, we were like, hey, we could relocate here. This is a cool city.
Yeah, it felt very young, but in a good way.
And the hype is real. Anything you've heard about Bordeaux, I think the hype is real.
The hype is real. It's a good tagline.
Story 3. This is a short story, in case you're losing interest in our stories of the longer variety. As we're leaving Bordeaux, we saw a sign that said, Cadillac,
Yeah.
turn here.
One might say it's a fast story. I don't know.
Explain why it's a fast story.
Well, the town
Because
of
there
Cadillac.
sure as heck weren't any Cadillacs there.
So we were in and out.
Yeah.
Quicker than you could say room.
Oh dear.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. We went into the town of Cadillac thinking maybe it's where Cadillacs are from.
Yeah, I kind of half expected lots of cool American vintage cars.
But not so. That was more like the Angoulême car
Rampart
races that we
race.
went to. But the city of Cadillac, it's kind of a little side story that was fun. It's the first time I've been to a city where the city wall and the city doors are still in use, in that to drive into the city, you literally drove through like hundreds a year old port. Sort of
Yeah,
thing.
that was cool.
And that was really, really kind of nice.
It was a good entry.
And it was the first time that we'd been to what's called a Bastide town.
And what does that mean?
Well,
again?
that means if you've been... I know a lot of listeners love Paris. If you've been to the Place de Vosges in Paris, and you walk around the edges and it's all sort of columns and hallways, like
perfectly square, kind of square.
Because I don't know if it has to be square or not. Maybe it does, but the outside bit is what we're talking about most, and the covered passages that you can walk through, and there's all the shops. Anyway, there are apparently 150 recognized Bastide towns like that, where the main square is surrounded, and I think 300 of them unofficially. Don't know what the difference is, but that's what a tour guide told us. And Cadillac, or Cadillac, is the first we saw.
Yeah.
But we learned that Mr. Cadillac went over to America, to a city that you might recognize as Detroit, but which I think, yeah.
That's how he said it. I didn't know what he was
I
talking
guess that's where it
about
comes from.
first. Detroit.
Yeah.
So Detroit. And Mr. Cadillac founded the company Cadillac.
I think in a roundabout way, he started another company that had an offshoot called Cadillac, or more or less. Anyway.
Longer story,
which we don't have time for.
Yeah, and no Cadillacs and Cadillacs, so we couldn't
one.
do that.
No. But what we'll do now is, before the next story, is I'm going to read a review. Switching it up. Used to do that at the end. But it's not even a review. It's an email that I'd like to read because I quite liked it. It is from an Australian listener.
Oh.
And her name is Ingrid Emery.
Ingrid. Sounds Swedish.
Ingrid. Could be Swedish. I don't know. She said she was Australian, and I believe her.
Yeah.
Anyway, so an email that I got, and firstly, thank you so much for all you guys that are sending emails. Honestly, there are too many to keep track of, and I know I haven't responded to some, but we've got a lot of time this week to catch up, so I'll respond to everyone that I've got. But this is one that I want to read, a bit of an email. I'm a big fan. She's Australian. Should I do the accent?
Definitely.
G'day.
I don't know about that one.
I'm a big fan of the Earful Tower and a Patreon supporter now, and I've been listening since season 2. So that's we're season 4 now, so that's going back quite a way. Your honeymoon season is wonderful. I love hearing about your adventures that you experience across parts of France I haven't been to yet, and your observations about the country and its people. It makes me feel like I'm there with you on the ride.
Wow, that is the best we could have hoped for.
Right?
Yeah, that's kind of the purpose of this. Obviously to see for ourselves, but to be able to share the experience.
Indeed. So Thank you, Ingrid. I stopped
great.
doing the Australian accent as I went. I don't know why. It faded. It faded.
Felt fake.
But thanks, Ingrid. And it's nice to know that you're joining us on the ride, what's the word, vicariously. But yeah, thanks for all the emails, everyone. And let's get on with the list.
Number 4.
Number 4. This is a nice story. We went to so the way we've been doing accommodation is we look roughly 60 kilometers from where we've been.
Yeah, you can easily chew that off in a day without killing yourself.
And if we had a compass, we'd sort of do a line of where exactly. So we sort of always know where we're going to go in the next 5 days.
Yeah, for example, when we were in Bordeaux, we knew that we want to go to Toulouse.
Right.
So just kind of heading roughly in that direction.
Exactly. So we aim maybe 50 to 100 kilometers. Pick somewhere that's cheap. Typically, we choose the cheapest Airbnb place that's a full apartment to ourselves. So it still feels like a honeymoon, and we don't have to spend so much money.
Yeah. I mean, we have stayed with people as well, with families, but it's kind of like, it's good.
As in people who have their Airbnb house.
Yeah, exactly. So share house.
We've even stayed with listeners.
Yeah.
In fact, we're staying in the apartment of a listener right now.
That's another story, but it's excellent.
Mm-hmm. But we've done a big mix, but we've sort of found the best ways to keep it cheap and keep a semblance of honeymoon going is Airbnb, full property to yourself.
Yeah, and that often means to be able to afford it, we're somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
Absolutely nowhere.
Which is cool.
And this is what that story is about. So we typically pay about 40 a night, right? So this one that we found is in a little town. If you're playing at home, I know one Patreon supporter, John D. Murray, loves playing along at home on the maps. So this one's for you, John. We're in a town called Saint-André-du-Bois. Saint-André-du-Bois, B-O-I-S, of the woods. And we stayed in a tiny little place, and we got in really late, and we'd done a big drive that day. And this is just a story of French countryside kindness.
It was a tiny village with no shop in it.
Yeah, nothing.
No supermarket, no
nothing.
Petit alimentation.
Not even a boulangerie.
Nope,
and
nothing.
The woman said to us, we got in late, and she said, "Oh, you must be." I posted this on Instagram, so if you're an Instagram follower, you already know the story.
Yeah, you can see her face.
Yeah. And she said to us, the nearest restaurant is, I think it's, 5-10 k's away. It's going to close in about an hour. You should call ahead to make a reservation, but you must be tired. And we said, yeah, we are pretty tired. And she said, meanwhile, I forgot this. This is after she offered to do washing for us.
Yeah, she was amazing.
She was so lovely. But then she said, look, I've got chickens in the garden. I've got tomatoes growing in the garden. I can sort you out with some dinner for tonight if you want.
Very simple, very humble, but I can sort you out.
And some bread.
And
and she did, and she just came across with a little basket of food, and she said, I wouldn't want you to go hungry. And she just gave it to us.
So
and it was just such a lovely story. But you know what? I just remembered something that we haven't talked about yet. The way
What?
she said it, one of the things that I've become most fascinated with in the southwest of France is the French accent down here. Because if you have no idea what I'm talking about, instead of saying the words like you might be familiar with, so the word for bread in French is pain, P-A-I-N, pain. But down here, and I'm not exaggerating this, they say pang.
Yeah, literally peng.
And this woman was the first I came across of it, and I was like almost laughing because I found it so weird.
Yeah, but we haven't heard any other accents
I
really
never heard
until now.
It was, for me, it was so surreal. And she was saying to us, there's a little walkway that's not very far away. So in French, I would say it's the walkway is chemin, and not very far is not very loin. But she said there's a chemin and it's not very loin.
I thought she was joking first.
And to be
because
clear,
she had
we're
this
not-
little glint in her
yeah.
eye as well.
We're not laughing at the accent. I find it
No.
very charming. But the fact that I'd never heard it before, imagine if you just met someone in English and instead of saying bread, they said breed. You wouldn't believe it.
You just not know what's going on.
So I said to her, and when she... And when she offered the eggs, she actually said, like that. And I didn't know what she was talking about. And then she said, the poulet, the chicken. I was like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you
Like,
said.
are you going to give me some chicken legs?
Anyway,
Right.
as we've been going along, we've noticed more and more instances of the words that have it. So tomorrow morning, demain matin, is demain matin. And 21 for 21 is 21.
Okay, everyone should see Oliver's face when he's doing that.
I love it. And I'd love to do a video of it. So if you're in the area and you know how to speak the lingo, I'd love to meet you and I'd love to share this with the world because I find it, well, any regular listener here knows that I
This is
find
interesting, it's
accents and
different.
stuff fascinating. Anyway, that was a story of kindness and it turned into me sort of mocking the
The
Southern French.
region, which is unfortunate.
But it's not a mocking thing, it's a love. It's said with great love because I find it very interesting. And we'll talk more about that demain. So
Well played.
the other story that I wanted to talk about was another story of kindness. We went to a small town. I've got it written down because I'd never remember it. It was called Sauveterre de Guyenne. And that was, I think it was soon after Cadillac, or Cadillac. And we went there. And it was another great old town where you drove through the ramparts and they had the 4 original doors. And when I say doors, I mean, you know, what they would have protected
The
the city with.
ports.
Yeah, the big ports.
Is it called port?
I don't know,
That
that's what
makes
it's
me
called
think
in
of a
French.
harbour.
Port.
Yeah.
I don't know what we call it in
Gates.
English. Gateway?
I don't.
Anyway, so 1,000 years old maybe, at least 500, right? I don't remember, but they still had north, south, east, west, all the rampart tower buildings, and we went into the little tourism office, and we were talking to him about things to do there, and he said, "Yeah, you can climb the rampart." And everybody knows I like ramparts. In fact, I went out for drinks with some listeners in Toulouse, and I was saying, "What can I do when I'm in town?" They go, "Well, there's some ramparts you can check out. We know you love the ramparts, so that's obviously
Yeah, it's not a secret anymore.
it's defining me."
It's out there.
Anyway, the guy said there's some ramparts 5-10 minutes walk from here, but you need a key to get in. And then he just produced the key,
Here's the key.
and he just said, "Go on, let yourself in. Make sure you let
Hang
yourself
on,
out."
does
of the
this
way."
mean that we got a key to the city?
Yeah, we're like the mayor. We're like the mayor and mayoress.
I didn't think of that until now.
But it was so cool. One thing that
I need to update my Facebook status, by the way.
yeah, true.
Yeah. Anyways,
One thing that I'm loving in the countryside of France is the trust and honesty among people. So we left our scooter there with all the luggage on it, which you could have easily stolen, all the equipment that I've got, and it was all just there for the taking. And we walked 10 minutes, and we went and looked at all this cool, looked at this cool view, and it's like a museum really.
Yeah.
And I haven't shared the pictures with it, so as soon as I get off, as soon as we press stop and I've shared this episode, it's going to be in the Instagram story as a incentive for you guys to follow. But I'll put all those pictures from up the top there. And it was just really cool that they would, you know, lend you the key
yeah,
and just
it's
trust
so
you not
trusting.
to damage it.
And it's nice. It
Compare
worked.
that. Imagine that happening in Paris.
Yeah.
Couldn't.
No.
Story number 6. You ready?
Moving on.
This is one of
quickly.
my favorite, and I'm hoping this becomes a recurring story on the Earful Tower podcast. So the lovely lady with the bread and the eggs, or as she called it, the peng in the ass. The peng in the air. She was so lovely. She left us a note because she left in the morning to do something, and she left a note, put it under a stone on the little red scooter, and she said, gave some tips. She said, "I remember you said you were heading in this direction. You should
what
check
to
out."
see in the vicinity.
In fact, I think it was her that said vicinity.
Oh no!
Why do we say vicinity? Is that how you say it in Swedish?
No, not even the same word.
What a dwindling way to say it. Anyway, we went...
It's my second language, everyone.
Yeah.
I am Swedish, so I am excusing myself.
We didn't do any background. Lena's
Zero.
Swedish. She's my wife. This is the honeymoon
Hi,
tour of France.
everyone.
We're going around the whole country on a little red scooter, and we're about halfway through.
Yeah.
It's taking a lot longer than we thought it would.
Yeah, we thought we'd be back by now
Yeah.
because autumn has hit.
But you know what? New listeners probably don't know we don't have a house to go back to in Paris.
Yeah, but that's like episode 1,
Yeah.
so
Press stop, go back to episode 1 of season 4.
redo.
Any old house. So we went to Sauveterre de Guyenne on the recommendation of the lovely lady. But we also went to a town, and I've got this written down too. It's called Castelmoron-d'Albret.
Yeah,
And-
like Castelmoron.
Yeah.
Kind of, that's how
you
it's
know, I'll tell you what went viral. The picture of me in the town of Le Moron pointing to myself, saying I'm finally home. I had like 600 likes on Facebook. I think people were doing it with a knowing smile, you know? Like, yep, he's
They're
home.
like, he finally found it. Yeah, well, that's a good one. That was a lucky find
Lucky encounter.
along the way.
Anyhow, the reason that we want to talk about Castelmoron-d'Albret is because the town, or the village, is literally the smallest village in the whole countryside.
Yeah.
The whole country, even.
It's the whole country, and it's about the size of 2 football fields.
Yeah,
together.
I searched it on the internet later, and they said it's also the exact sort of size of the big roundabout at the Arc de Triomphe. So
Oh,
imagine that's a
yeah.
whole village. And as soon as we're heading there, and this is a story we've already told to Patreon supporters,
Yeah.
so you guys can fast forward this bit. But we...
Or keep listening to check if we're like
To see
changing the story.
how much we
make
embellish
it-
the detail.
Yeah, like it's the size of a coin.
The size of an acorn.
Yes.
No, so what happened is I heard of this small town from the lady. I thought, have to do an episode there. Have to find the mayor. Hope they speak English. I don't know why. I just got this sense that it would be really cool to do it. And we get to the town.
Well,
really-
any extremes are interesting. Like
That's
the
true.
smallest something, the biggest something.
That's true. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you're right. Except, you know what? Sometimes when they do these, making the biggest pizza or the biggest baguette, I've had enough of those ones.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I've had enough. It's not the best
You can
gimmick
only
for your
make
town.
such a big pizza.
Yeah, it's not the best gimmick. The best gimmick is coming up right now. So we got there, and we're walking down this street, really beautiful cobblestone street, up on a really high sort of hill, absolutely tiny. And I'm looking for the mayor, and we found the town hall, which wasn't hard because there were only about 20 buildings in the whole village. And it was closed, obviously, because
Because it's obviously only open on Wednesdays.
yeah, that's another thing we learned in the countryside. A lot of things are closed on a lot of days.
Yeah.
So we get to the town hall, closed, walk a little bit further along, and an older gentleman walks out of a house. And he says, what are you looking for? This was all in French, right? But he says, what are you looking for? And we're like, the town hall, do you know when it's open? He says, nah, only Wednesday, but maybe I can help you. And I said, oh yeah?
How come?
Yeah, how come?
How-
He says, well, I'm the deputy mayor of this town. And I said, oh, wow. So we get chatting, and it turns out he's a really lovely guy. And he invites us into his amazing house.
Yeah, we had some soda
We had some soda.
at his kitchen table.
He talked to us about philosophy, Freemasonry,
Art. Oh,
art.
wow.
He
You
talked to
name
us
it.
about everything. We had a good old chat. He called me Malin, actually, is what he
Yeah,
called me.
Malang.
And then we didn't know what he was talking about. He ended up getting the thesaurus out and explaining to me how I was cheeky or something like that. And I think in a
Yeah.
positive way.
Cheeky
maybe-
and...
I looked it up later. It
not
also
sure.
said something about being the devil.
Yeah,
So I don't
something about being vicious. Not sure.
Anyway, we get chatting to him. We're having a really good old chat. And
He
that's-
offered us to stay in his spare bedroom.
It was so kind. It was another. This episode could be
Yeah.
about the kindness of the French countryside
Definitely.
people. Anyway, we had to turn it down because we were in a rush to get to the next stop where we'd booked accommodation. Much worse, the accommodation.
Oh, way
was.
worse. But in a better location for us at the time.
So I said to the guy, "What?" I couldn't interview him unfortunately because he didn't speak any English. But I said to him, "What keeps you busy as being part of the town hall team here in the village, which incidentally has a population of 40?" And he said,
He
"Oh,
said sometimes 50.
yeah, 50 on a good summer month."
Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
I said,
Anyway.
what keeps you up at night, Mr. Mayor or Deputy Mayor? And he said, Oliver. Oh, Oliver. He said, it's a lack of money. We just have no money. And I said, Monsieur le Maire, I've got a really good idea for you. I think it's a viral, gimmicky idea.
You got a cunning plan.
And he said, go on then, let's hear it. And I said, change the name of the village. And you know what he said? He said, change the name of the village, and then started talking about Budapest and Aristotle again.
Yeah, he really liked Budapest.
He didn't hear me out, so I want to share with you listeners my idea for this place, a gimmicky idea to increase the tourism, and I think it could happen.
I think it's genius.
I think I'm going to go above the deputy mayor.
I think we should start a campaign.
Well, first I'll contact the mayor, and if I do it, I'll bring it up in the next episode. But hear me out on this idea, because I've been thinking about it a lot, and I think it's really good. So, the village of Castelmoron-d'Albret needs to change its village name.
It's a long name
Too long.
For a small village,
Exactly,
isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's almost as if you know what I'm going to say. They need to change the name of the village to the shortest name of a village in the country. Now, I already know there's a village somewhere that's called just the letter Y. So you can't get shorter than that.
How do you pronounce that?
I guess I or Y.
Y?
I don't know. But my idea, what's shorter than a letter, is a symbol. So imagine Prince, the singer, who changed his name to a symbol. This village needs to change its name to a symbol, and I've got the perfect one. So you know the little one that it looks like a V that's fallen over, and it means is smaller than.
Oh yeah, the crocodile.
Yeah, it looks like
mouth.
a crocodile biting.
Yeah.
Or an arrow pointing. An arrow pointing to the left. Okay.
And it means smaller than.
So exactly. So
Yeah.
this means it's smaller than. It's perfect because the village is smaller than everything else. The idea is, and if you're listening, mayor of this town or anyone that has any influence whatsoever in France, they change the name. They change the billboard, just one billboard out the front, and you guess what? Do you know how you pronounce it?
No.
Exactly the same. Castelmoron-d'Albret. Doesn't matter. Don't have to change anything. One street sign. Then tell the local papers.
It's
the smallest
perfect.
village in France has changed its name to the smallest name in France.
Love it. In fact, I'm gonna do a mock-up of new postcards for them to sell.
Postcards, t-shirts.
Yeah,
I
easy.
went to Castelmoron-d'Albret and all I got was this shirt. But when you spell it, it's the little symbol. Anyway, this is my idea. He didn't even hear me out.
Oliver is very excited about this.
I'm so excited. It's the cheapest gimmick ever to get
I love
people.
it.
And the idea is that people will go there.
It's
People-
the size of the cost is just to buy the smallest sign.
Right, and the idea is
Ever.
people go, I want to go to this place and get a picture with a billboard, and then when they're in town, they buy the postcard, the t-shirt. Hey, they buy a Coca-Cola, they
An
buy a crepe.
expensive flat white.
Next thing you know, there'll be an IKEA there, and it won't be the smallest village. But I'm trying to help because they said they got no money coming in, and it's just an idea.
Yeah.
So if you got any influence in this country or in tourism,
Yeah.
send me an email, and I'm going to email the mayor, and I'll do an update next week. And if you're listening, you think it's a good idea, terrible
This is a
idea,
project.
send me your emails and hashtag Castelmoron-d'Albret, spelt with a little signal. Okay.
Wow, the Prince of France has got a new meaning.
All right, guys. Before we get on with the points 7 through to 10, which we're gonna have to get through quickly because I got too excited again.
Yeah.
A little note on the book club.
Ooh.
Now, remember, I've been talking about the book club lately.
Yep,
I've created a Facebook page. It's called the Earful Tower Book Club. Pretty
It's
easy to
moving.
find. The book, A Year in Provence, Peter Mayle. We're all going to read it. I haven't started yet, but I'm going to start this week. So if you haven't got it yet, or if you have, one listener has already read the whole thing.
Well-
Paige. Her name's Paige. Paige Anderson. Paige, if you're listening, and we've already joked about it, that you should change your name to Paige Turner. Too quick.
Yeah,
We're meant to
too
take a
quick.
month on
Not
these
fair.
things. And then the idea is we all read it, we talk about it, and obviously I can't interview Peter Mayle, the author, as he's sadly deceased, but we're going to go to the village where it's set and check it out. Anyway,
I'm excited.
sign up for that. All you have to do is join a Facebook group, read the book with me. It'll be fun. Quite simple.
Yeah.
Yep, okay, get on with 7, 8, 9, 10, shall we?
I think so.
So, point 7, birthday in Puymirol, I've written. This was
Yes.
fun. It was my birthday on Friday.
Special day.
After staying in the cheapest places in the whole country, we cashed in on a wedding gift from our friends,
Yeah.
and we went to a really fancy hotel and a Michelin-starred restaurant.
And it was amazing.
The name of the restaurant, or the chef, is Michel Trama. So if you're a big fan of French food, you've probably heard from him. At one point, he had 3 Michelin stars, and he was in there cooking for us. I didn't see him.
I know.
But
We
you
met
could tell,
his wife.
You could tell by the food. It was so good.
Oh, it was attention to detail.
And we went in
In
there
this-
thinking
oh, it's
we went in there
amazing.
thinking we weren't gonna eat a lot, but we did eat a lot. It was totally worth it. So if you're ever in the middle of nowhere, which is where this is, Puymirol, Puyrimol, consider checking it out for a dinner. Just really fantastic stuff. First time I've had a sommelier at my table,
Yeah.
telling what wine to drink.
I know.
That
was-
maybe
it
says
was-
something about me, but
Well,
yeah,
maybe, but
yeah.
it was quite an experience.
Yeah.
And the decoration inside
Oh,
the
so
hotel, it feels like you're in a Aladdin's cave.
So beautiful.
I can't
There's a
pronounce
video of it. Did it for Patreon supporters.
Oh,
live
yeah?
video. Well, you know, you were there. You had to try and get the
Oh,
wasps
yeah.
out of the room. Lena was in the background getting the wasps out. But to our friends who are listening, if they are indeed listening, who got that, you know who you are. Thank you very much. Those vouchers were very well used.
Thank you.
Yes. And let's carry on quickly. Number 8, I've written insect Lena.
So I, you know how I got the insects, the wasps out of the room in the background of your video?
Yeah.
The very same day, just before that, as we were riding, happily singing along, riding the scooter, singing
Unchained Melody was maybe in the air.
Yeah, probably. Suddenly I just something burned on my thigh. It's really quickly, and I saw this insect. I don't know what it was, but I assume it was some kind of wasp or something. And it was like a small, tiny little red mark on my leg. Didn't think much about it, and then it just gradually grew until I couldn't put my jeans on. I mean, that could have something to do with all the croissants I'm eating, but I'm blaming it on the wasp.
Michel Trama. But 3 days in, you had like a bruise that was the size of a dinner plate on your leg.
Yeah, and it was spreading, like it got red and started spreading upwards, which is not a good sign, apparently.
Well, so much like how regular listeners to this season will remember, I was struck by Lyme disease thanks to a tick bite and had my first doctor experience in France. Lo and behold, you've had your first.
I got a hit of sepsis.
No.
Sepis.
Is that actually what you got?
Yeah.
No. Is that what it is?
I think so.
God. But what I was going to say is you got your first taste of doctors as well for an insect bite.
I know, and I had to go to one in the middle of the night, which was quite exciting.
There's a tip. Don't get sick in France, especially not Toulouse, on a weekend.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Just wait to get sick until you're in the day.
But long story short, we ended up, but the pharmacy, there's only one that's open on a Sunday night.
So basically, why you shouldn't do it, it's expensive and it takes a long time.
And there was a queue for the pharmacy that was so long we went home and had to go back to it.
Yeah.
But we thought we'd sort of tell that story, even though it's not really a travel tip.
Anyways, I will survive.
I think you'll survive.
I'll survive, but it's my turn on the penicillin.
Yeah, so it's kind of, the trip has come full circle in that I was really sick with Lyme disease and now you've got sepsis apparently, which I've just learned myself and sounds very serious. But the downsides. For all you people who think we're just gallivanting around the world having the time of our life, it's not always easy.
I think maybe France is telling us something.
Yeah.
It's hinting.
Get a car.
Get out.
Okay, so point 9, 2 nights in Toulouse. Let's just do a little review of that because Toulouse, a city in southwest France.
La Ville Rose.
La Ville Rose. It's a beautiful city. I think it's called La Ville Rose, which means the pink city. And I think, because of all the bricks there and the way the sunlight plays off them, I think it is the best nickname for a city in the whole country.
Thefinitely.
I mean...
You can't beat that.
I don't know many other nicknames, but...
No. Well, the City of
best
Light.
Best tagline.
That's
City of Light, I heard that before.
Yeah,
there's nothing too special. But the pink city and the way it is pink...
It just really describes it as well.
Such a beautiful city.
Because City of Light, there are a lot of cities have lights.
There's one other city that's also called the City of Light or the City of Love, I think, which Paris is also. Anyway, the point is Toulouse is beautiful. We did a lot of walking around. Facebook followers would have seen the walk show that I did with Jessica from Taste of Toulouse. We went into the Victor Hugo market, tasted all the, bread and cheese and all that stuff in there.
All the delicacies.
It was really nice. Hopefully you guys saw that one on Facebook. And then we just sort of walked around the Garonne River.
I just thought it was so interesting. It's the first city that is just completely different. The look of it. Yeah, so it's red brick, everything. Even the sidewalks are pink. So everything got this like pink, rose, terracotta look to it, and it's very special. Very
different coming from all the other, like the sort of almost pastel-y or creamy colour.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a completely different vibe, which was very interesting.
So it's worth a look around, which brings me to point 10, Carcassonne. Carcassonne. Not only a lovely name for a city, a lovely city at first glance, and that's where we are right now.
Yeah, we just came in, actually.
Fresh. So if you're wondering what stories we have to tell of Carcassonne, the answer is 0, except that we're staying in one of the best places we've been on the entire trip, and that's one of the apartments from Taste of France. You can check out their, or her, I should say, lovely blog, Taste of France. Easy, if you Google it, you'll find it. Turns out she's a listener to the show. She's probably listening to it right now as she sits there listening. Anyway, so she got in contact with staying here. The apartment's really light and really lovely. So
Yeah,
if
it's
you want
amazing.
to stay in an old tannery that's been converted into a palace, is all I can really
it looks
say.
like the inside of a La Durée chocolate box.
Oh, it does. Yeah, that's nice.
Like mixed with some cool antique shop.
So that's where we're staying, but we'll give you some more stories about Carcassonne as we go. It's a really old medieval town. And April Pett, tour guide in Paris, messaged me. She said, Carcassonne, they say, is what Paris would look like if it still had the city walls.
Now that is something we have to check out.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So
This
that's what
week.
we'll be doing for a whole week. We're based here. We're going to be catching up on everything. And for you Patreon supporters, I'm going to do 2 scheduled walks this weekend. I'm going to do a sunrise and a sunset tour. That way everyone all over the world should be able to catch one live. I'm going to show you this magnificent city live on one of these little interactive Facebook walks. So I hope to see you then. Anything you want to add, Lena?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
Well, except au revoir.
Au revoir. What was that accent?
I don't know.
We're going to be here working on our accent. Do you know how they pronounce au revoir in southwest of France?
Au revoir.
Au revoir. So anyway, listeners, thanks for your emails. Thanks for listening. And Lena and I will be back on Monday.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try to put my jeans on and see if they fit.
And you'll hear from me again on Thursday when I will be talking to Taste of France, the blogger, about, well,
Blogger extraordinaire.
you'll find out on Thursday. So, yeah, au revoir.
Au revoir.